and welcome back to my channel. It's been a little bit of a break because I actually recently moved to Mexico, which is where I am right now. And in today's video, which is the first one ever that I will be doing an in-person interview, which is very exciting. So I'm going to be interviewing Athena Simpson, who is a business and marketing strategist and a productivity coach. So I, for one, know that I have a lot of trouble with my productivity, and I think a lot of other content creators as well have a lot of issues. So today we're going to be getting lots of tips from Athena, but we're also going to hear her pretty interesting backstory. So thanks so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
And having me in your apartment.
You're welcome to be here.
Yeah. So to start with, do you actually want to share with my followers a little bit about your story? Because it's a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, so I did the typical chase my career and lived in London for 10 years and started businesses and worked with really big brands and did huge projects, and it was just chasing that kind of career, and had a bit of a burnout and ended up selling everything I owned and literally running away to join the circus.
I can't believe that. I think Athena's the only person I know that literally left corporate life to join the circus. So what do you mean you joined the circus? Tell us more.
Yeah, it was a circus collective, so it wasn't, what people picture, like driving around in a camper van or whatever. Although I would love to drive in a camper van. It's van life's on the list.
Yeah.
But it's a collective of artists and performers that do these like residencies in different places all over the world. So I applied and got accepted and went and lived with them for a month in Indonesia.
Wow.
And ended up starting to perform with them as well. So performed in Indonesia and in Guatemala at Cosmic Convergence Festival on New Year's Eve. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What about the book? Can you tell us a little bit about the book you've written already?
Yeah. We're in the editing process now, so it's my first book, and writing a book is kind of like learning a whole new sector, like it's starting a business, really. You have to learn everything about it. So the book is about this idea of becoming unrestricted. So we live in a world where there's so many societal norms, and that ends up being what our definition of success is. We chase what we think we're supposed to be chasing, which is what I did in London. You want a certain flat, you want certain belongings, you want a certain career level. But when we step outside those norms and redefine success for ourselves, that's when, happiness can really happen. And I've been obsessed with optimization and productivity in work my whole life, and I realized that actually those techniques and those tools can be applied to your personal life.
Yeah.
So that the work becomes, much more optimized. You can do it in a lot less amount of time and focus on your well-being and redefining your idea of success and taking care of yourself. So it's a combination kind of well-being and productivity book.
Yeah, cool. And Athena's been giving me like really good tips, you guys. So for example, the other day, I was telling you that, I have this amazing swimming pool in my condo, and I actually don't really use it very much because I'm like, oh, I really want to use the swimming pool. Oh no, I'm too busy with work, or I just have so much stuff going on, but sometimes I don't. I'm just watching Netflix or something. Yeah. But you gave me the tip to actually like put it into my schedule, so to actually write it down and say, okay, at 8 a.m. every morning I'm going to go for a swim. And if it's actually part of your schedule, then you got to go do it. And I always think schedule is only for work-related things. Literally, I never thought of having a schedule for like non-work-related things. So for me, even that one tip is like good. I know you also gave me the tip about the phone.
Yes.
About not using the phone in the mornings and just doing maybe one or two things before you pick up your phone. So I think for bloggers watching this might be a good one. So my question is, do you want to maybe share a few more kind of productivity tips that you might have?
Yeah. Classically, when we think about productivity, people think corporate stuff, they think about like working for other people, but actually it's something that we can do for ourselves to make sure that we allow time in our lives to have downtime, to have free time, to enjoy ourselves. So the tip about putting things in the calendar, it's kind of a written affirmation that you want to do something, because often, especially as content creators, we can get lost into creating content and end up, not leaving our computer for hours on end. But if we physically put that reminder in our calendar and then we get a notification like, hey, I want to go to the pool, now it's pool time, it almost like kind of makes you then have to be like, really, can I not take 10 minutes to go to the pool or whatever?
Yeah.
So that's a really great technique to start using a calendar,
Okay.
even for personal things.
Yeah.
And for me, I think it reduces anxiety as well if you kind of like plan out your day and you know what you want to do and when. So I actually put eating into my calendar.
Wow.
You know, I put going.
Do you have
out
set
and
times
pool.
every day that you eat? Like,
Yeah, like I put a like holding thing in for like 1 o'clock every day to do lunch, but like I block an hour out more to like be like, okay, take a chill time, like whatever you're doing in the morning, like take an hour to just take some downtime and take some away time. But every day I actually will plan out my whole schedule for the day, even personal time. But you know, stuff like we had an event that we went to last night and I wanted to get ready for it, and I had silks training that I did before, so I scheduled all that in. So I was less anxious about like how much time do I have, like what can I do, because I knew like, okay, my calendar is going to tell me when it's time to do something. I keep pretty good lists, so I can go to bed without doing that, and I do it as part of my morning routine. You know, before any devices get turned on, I'll write down, you know, my list of what I'd like to do for the day, and then I'll put it into my calendar.
Yeah, nice, I love it. So what other kind of tips do you have, say, apart from the schedule? I really like that one. I think it's a really good one that you guys need to use more as well.
Super, super good, and it's great for to-do lists as well. So I actually ran a 5-day challenge just on how to do to-do lists.
But wow, 5-day challenge, I love it.
But you know, there's what people get wrong with their to-do list is they will write down projects instead of actions. So when you go through your to-do list, you want to know exactly what to do when you look at that item on your list. So if you write something like publish a video, but you know you need to film it, you need to edit it, you need to put the soundtrack to it, you need to make graphics for it, you're overwhelming your brain. So if we think of our brains like petulant 6-year-olds, and they will just, you know, throw a fit and not do something if they're like, that's too much, I don't know how to do that. So when you write your to-do list, if you can write the actual steps that you need to take, and you know exactly what you need to do when you look at it, then your brain's like, okay, we can do that. And even one step further is assigning an amount of time to that task. So, you know, if you know filming a video is going to take you an hour, you can write that. And what that also helps you do is write a manageable list. So the other thing that people often get wrong is they put way too much on their list, and then they feel really bad at the end of the day that they didn't achieve everything. So I have a lot more to say on to-do lists, but like those are top tips there. And then the other thing that we talked about was the morning routine. So a lot of people will grab their phone first thing and start taking in messages. We all do it.
I know.
You know, we've been trained by these devices, by these, you know, social media platforms to
be
want
on it
to be
all
on
the
our
time.
phone. But the problem with that is first thing when you wake up, if you're taking in other people's messages, that can create a massive state of anxiety, because then you feel like, oh, I need to respond to that, or you read a news story that starts freaking you out. So if you can start a morning routine just by not turning your phone on and getting up and maybe just having a coffee, or you know, picking one thing that you can start with in the morning that you're doing before you start taking those messages in, it just totally changes the tone of your day.
With your to-do list and stuff just related, I often suffer from overwhelm. So I just have too much stuff to do. Content creators, you know, I've got to post on Facebook and Instagram, and I have to do the blog post and make the video and all these different things. And sometimes I don't know where to start, so I don't do anything. I'm like, no, I'm watching Netflix, I don't care. Do you have any tips for how to deal with that?
Absolutely. So there's 2 techniques that you can use. One is when you start feeling that anxiety of like all the things swirling around in your head that you need to do, is do what I call a brain dump.
Okay.
And just, you know, set a timer for 15 minutes and just write as many things as you can think of that you need to do. You don't need to do it in any order. The idea is to just empty your brain of all of those things. And that process alone can be really cathartic, because you often think you have a lot more to do than you really do. So when you see it on paper, yes, it might be a really long list, but now you can actually do something about it. You can organize it and make some sense of it. So that's step number 1. If you're starting to feel really overwhelmed and you don't have everything written down somewhere, just grab a piece of paper and scribble as much as you can until you can't think of anything else. And you can do it for work, you can do it for personal, like just anything that's in your brain. And then the next technique is called chunking it down.
Chunking it down, okay.
Yes. So I mentioned in to-do list, most people write projects instead of the steps that they need to take. So chunking it down is where you look at something that you know has multiple steps, and you write all the steps that you need to take for that. So you're kind of chunking it down. So if you look at an example of a recipe, say we want to make Mexican bean salad.
Yummy.
I broke it down in the to-do list challenge actually, and like I could chunk down, make this dish into 22 different steps on 3 different days, you know? And then it gives you, you know, an idea of, okay, that's dependent on that, or I need to do that before I can do that. And then you can start planning your week and your days that way.
Yeah. And my thing is though, like with my job, is that when I do check my emails, suddenly the list is going to get way longer. Because every time I check my emails, is, you know, from clients and from people I'm working with and projects, and it's just, actually emails is a very overwhelming thing. I don't know if you ever touch on that or you've been coaching people, but I have thousands of unread emails. And again, overwhelmed. I don't want to deal with them, like, but I always feel like I have a to-do list, and then I check my email in the morning and suddenly my to-do list is doubled. And that's when I get overwhelmed.
So the thing about emails is it's other people's timings and priorities. So if it's clients, then starting to build in boundaries and communication techniques with them. When I work with my clients, I tell them, you know, 24 to 48 hours, depending on the urgency, is when I will get back to them. And I also tell them that I don't turn on my phone until after 1 o'clock every day. So they'll hear from me sometime in the afternoon. And the thing about that is if you tell people up front, like, hey, you know, like you have to do a lot of things that take a lot of your mental brain power. So, you know, if you're getting distracted throughout the day, every time you get distracted, it takes 23 minutes to get back into whatever it was you were doing. So when you tell people up front, hey, this is how I work, they're cool because they know.
I'm not know.
Exactly. So you can tell people, like, these are the times that I answer email, and then schedule time in your day that you actually check your email. So instead of feeling like you need to be on it all the time, you just know every day at this time I'm going to go in, keep your notebook nearby, and just write down all the things that you need to do, and then you can add that to your to-do list the following day.
It's a good one. I definitely need to get my email box under control.
So my tip for that, if you've got thousands of it, is just forget about all the old ones, because if you needed to go back to those, you would, and just do it day by day. So, you know, I unsubscribe to thousands of newsletters that way by just responding or just unsubscribing to the ones that came through each day, rather than...
I'm starting to do that now, for sure, and it's helping. What I wanted to ask you about is your course. You're going to be launching like classes, or is it a course?
So I'm just about to launch a couple classes that I've been delivering in person for years. So I do productivity coaching, but also a couple things I'm really passionate about is marketing and branding. I've been working in marketing for 20 years and started working with young entrepreneurs, 6-7 years ago. And realized that not everybody is obsessed with marketing and branding as I was. So I started running this workshop to just help people understand, you know, the difference between marketing and PR and branding, and it evolved from there. So it's a masterclass on firstly understanding kind of the foundations of marketing and branding in an easy to understand way, demystifying the lingo, and then part 2 is giving you tools to actually create your own marketing strategy and plan out, you know, communications that your audience will resonate with. With a focus on goals. So a lot of people don't do this when they set out to do any sort of marketing. They're not starting with the goals and the business in mind. So I've got all these tools and templates that I've been working with people on for years. I still use them myself, and you know, I've used them with massive marketing teams as well. So they can work for one person, they can work for big teams. So that's the first class, and then I do a presentation skills class as well.
What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to link them below with the date when they're launching, obviously, so that if you guys do want to sign up for these, it will be very easy. So you can up your presentation skills, or if you want a productivity coach, or if you want some branding tips. Did I get that right?
And there'll be more stuff on the productivity coming out soon. I'm going to run the to-do list challenge again in the next couple months. So if you sign up to the mailing list, I send out tons of content around productivity there. So excellent.
I know that I would definitely benefit from that, and I'm sure many of my viewers would as well, that struggle with productivity. And just the small little challenges are always really beneficial, I think.
Yeah,
But,
you know, if you can start small and just do little tweaks, you know, I think when you try just with anything, if you try to like attack everything all at once, it's not sustainable. So if you make small little tweaks to your habits and just kind of increase from there, it can have a massive impact on your outlook and your well-being and your output.
Yeah, brilliant. So do you want to tell everyone where they can find you if they want to find you online?
Yeah, so my main website is athenaSimpson.com. You can find all of the productivity and the courses at getunrestricted.com, and I am on Instagram at athena.simpson and un.restricted.
Perfect. I'll put the links down below anyway if you guys want to follow along. Thank you so much for coming along today, and well, I'm in your apartment, but thanks for letting me be here to interview you, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.